Hi, welcome. We are going to learn how to work together. So let's dive in, shall we? How to communicate. That's the beginning point of any teaching experience. How does the teacher communicate with the student? How does the student communicate with the teacher? How do the students communicate with each other? And when we think about all of that, it's important to think outside of the box. Are students working alone? The communication looks different. Together, in pairs, in groups of 4? What about students here within this school? What about students in another school? What about adults? What about adults within the building or outside of the building? Again, all of these are factors that impact what the communication looks like. And again, it's important to build these ideas into your lessons and instruction. When you start thinking and planning about how students are going to communicate, it becomes an intentional part of the instructional process. And that is what will enhance the learning experience for the student. Communication is going to be key and vital, and we know that it's more important than ever, especially as students and teachers are spread out and working virtually and not in the same space. Communication is key, and planning for it intentionally is a valuable use of time as you're planning your instruction. Now, when it comes to the tools and how this happens, we know that it's going to be digital. That's just the facts of life at this point. But upon returning to the classroom, what tools are used will also matter as well, even if they shift slightly. But writing, photos, media, social media, charts, graphs, infographics, audio, video, multimedia, these are all the different ways that students can communicate. And students have different proficiencies within that as well. While they may not be master writers, they do tend to have a knack for understanding the audio-video side of social media, and they're better at communicating that way. Sometimes they aren't, and that, again, takes more training and practice, and that's what we hope you're instilling and embedding within your lessons. More opportunities to communicate give them more opportunities to experience ways that people communicate with them as well as the ways that they communicate with others. It's really going to be important for students to build upon the platforms that you've provided for them. And it's important to have good, solid platforms for students to collaborate and work together. How much of this communication is going to happen outside of Zoom and Canvas? That's important to know and plan for. It can happen outside of those places, but again, making sure that students operate within the bounds that you have set for them. The Kegan Plan is a great starting point. You can adapt existing strategies of group and quad work together, utilizing tech tools along the way to make these Kegan strategies matter in a virtual environment. And creating safe spaces for conversations for students is really, really important as they begin this collaborative working environment that you've set up for them. But now it's time to build a plan. From idea to collaboration, are students working together? Who is managing the collaboration process? How are roles determined? How is credit assigned? All of these are important questions as you begin building a plan for collaboration. Working in isolation with no communication with others, or perhaps just communicating with a teacher, that's going to look very different than a classroom that's designed around students working with other students or working with people outside of the school, working with experts in the field. And the management of this collaboration process doesn't always have to fall upon teachers. Allowing students to manage their own process is really important because it's a skill that they're going to need to learn as they continue to progress through high school, college, and beyond. Roles are really important. Sometimes defining those as the teacher is the key part of the facilitation process that you will engage in. Other times, students may actually have a better idea of what roles they are going to need in order to accomplish the task and who would be best to complete those tasks. Now, with that being said, it is important for students to move around and try different things and different roles to find out what they're good at and to improve in other areas. So sometimes it's best for students to select, and sometimes it's better for the teacher to facilitate that. But in either case, roles are key in order to get projects completed. And with that being said, we've all been a part of or seen groups that one person does the work, and that's the worst. That's the absolute worst. And so it's important for students to understand upfront how credit is being assigned, so that they understand that there is a benefit to working together, but there is also consequences for individuals who decide to ignore their role and not follow that. And that happens on both ends, whether it's lack of work or taking over entire projects. We want students to understand how to work together, and where the credit is assigned impacts that the most. Now, how you use your technology is as important as what technology you use. We hear all of these great tools: Padlet, Flipgrid, coding, video editing. All of it's great, and it's wonderful tools that students can use and you can use. But how you use it, think of the task first. What do you want students to do? What do you want students to learn? And what do students want to do? And how do they want to learn? Consider all of that as you're beginning to pick through the technology that you think will fit your classroom best. By having that forward-facing mindset, you can pick up new tools and have your class be more efficient in the tools that they already use. So, as you're working with technology, make sure you're using it intentionally. Use it often and use it effectively. Your goal here is to prepare students for what's next. You want to make sure that the technology adds value so that students can do their work in better or different ways that weren't possible without the technology. When digital technologies are utilized, do the tools overshadow, mask, or otherwise draw focus away from important learning? Because at the heart of every single thing that we do should be learning, high quality learning, learning that matters to students and for student achievement. That's our goal. And by building in collaboration with using those tools, we now hit on a key 21st century skill that goes beyond your classroom.